Good morning, gang. Happy Wednesday morning. Remember the old saying, today is the first day of the rest of your life? Hey, economy, today is the first day of the rest of your life. Okay. It's going to be interesting to see what happens today. Today is the FOMC meeting, and we will see what the Fed decides to do with interest rates. Now, overwhelmingly, they are expected to stay steady at 5.5%. Okay. Which should mean that we don't see increasing mortgage rates. We don't see increasing interest rates on car loans or credit cards or anything like that. Okay. Also means we don't see a reduction in T-bonds, T-bills, savings accounts, anything CDs, anything like that. So in that respect, okay, maybe we've stabled out. Except this is where the problem starts to come in, and this is where they don't put two and two together. Okay. If you saw what happened in Hong Kong earlier this week, remember Evergrande, the world's largest, or at least China's largest property management company, however you want to put it. The judge ordered the company liquidated because they are some $300 billion in debt and can't pay the loans off. Okay. That's going to have a ripple effect through the market because we have a lot of U.S. institutions that owned debt, owned the bonds that Evergrande had put out. The issue that we also get is heavy investors were BlackRock, Vanguard, et cetera, stuff like that, who invest heavily in not only Chinese markets, but the US markets. And oh, by the way, something they also are big in is your 401k. Okay. Might behoove you to take a look at what the holdings you have, the sub-holdings, okay, in your 401k and see where you stand, because the mutual funds you own may own BlackRock debt, may own Evergrande debt, may own Vanguard debt, et cetera, which means you're about to take it in the shorts. So when you have something like this is where the ripple effect comes in. BlackRock, who of course owns a boatload of properties here, we've talked about this for a couple of years, they go in and buy entire neighborhoods worth of houses and say, okay, we're going to turn these all into rentals. Guess what's going to happen with the rent? BlackRock's got to make this money up somewhere. So, ultimately, where everybody talks about, gee, what's the FOMC going to do? Yeah, if you've got a mortgage, unless you are still one of these people that has an adjustable rate, which I doubt, okay, it's not going to affect you. If you've already bought your car, you're not looking at a new car loan, it's not going to affect you. Your interest rates are already locked in. No big deal. Okay. Credit cards are a variable rate. Savings accounts are a variable rate. CDs and T-bills and T-bonds that you own, those are fixed. No big deal. Those aren't going to change. Whatever you're going to roll the money into when it matures, that's different. Okay. That's going to be current market value. So does the Fed stay at 5.5% today? Well, that's conventional wisdom on the street. Sure, that's where it's going to be. Is that what's going to continue? Highly, highly doubtful. All this talk of a soft landing, that they're not going to have to do anything, that they brought interest rates back to where they were. True. Where we sit now is pretty close to historical average. This should be the norm, okay, where we are now. Everybody shouldn't be screaming that mortgage rates are too high or interest rates are too high. No, this is historical normal. Okay? It's just that for 15 years, the economy got used to free money, basically. I mean, 0% interest on cars, and a year's worth of 0% interest on your credit card, 2% and 3% mortgages. We got used to that. And so people began to think that that is the norm. It's not. That's an outlier. The problem is, with everything that's going on in the rest of the economy, is we're going to start slowing down. Sure, you can say, but GDP was up in the fourth quarter. Yeah, it was also holiday season. Okay. I told you then, watch all the layoffs. And I was talking yesterday about how many layoffs have already happened just in the first month of the year. We're talking somewhere near 200,000 people have lost their job in the first of the year in major companies. Okay. I can't tell you how many small business layoffs that laid off 2 or 3 people here and there. That's not public knowledge. But publicly traded companies, we've lost a couple 100,000 jobs in the first month of the year. Well, those people have to do something to make ends meet. With interest rates as high as they are, with people losing good jobs as frequently as they are all of a sudden, the next step to watch is the bankruptcies. And this is where the Fed is going to have to figure this one out. Do they cut interest rates, which is my bet as to what goes on, to keep the economy afloat short term? Why do I say that? We have an election coming up in November. Janet Yellen, Jerome Powell, Joe Biden, of course, are going to do whatever they can to make the economy appear to be in good shape going into the election. How many times have you heard Joe, I brought inflation down to 3.8% or whatever it is, from the 9% he caused. Okay. We're still higher than we were when he took office, but he's claiming he brought it down. He caused the problem and then is trying to take credit for fixing it. Okay. It's the same thing they're going to do here. Pay attention today to not only what Powell says around 2 o'clock when we get the Fed minutes and the interest rate decision, but listen to what his view of the future is. My bet is he's going to say, he's going to talk about, he's going to keep rates stable. But if you listen in between the lines, there's probably going to be a hint or two in there about cutting rates, because the path we're on with this economy right now is deadly. Okay, this goes right back to fuel the fire that everybody said for a few months now, at least, that we're going to see a complete collapse second or third, end of second, beginning of third quarter. They can't have that. That would be the dagger in Joe's heart for the election. So, as we all like this word, manipulated markets, expect to see more on that. Bet on an interest rate cut coming up to kind of stimulate spending again, which is not a good thing, but it's probably what's coming. Because I know, and anybody with a brain knows, Washington doesn't care about what happens to the people. Washington cares about keeping a job. And the best way to keep their job is to use a little bit of smoke and mirrors over the people out there in the country who don't know any better. Pinball out.